Where there is hatred, let us sow love.
Where there is injury, pardon.
Where there is doubt,
Faith. Where there is despair, hope.
Where there is darkness,
Light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master,
grant that we may not so much seek
to be consoled as to console,
to be understood as to understand,
to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
and it is in dying
that we are born to eternal life.
Amen.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Fire destroys 2 homes in Corinth settlement, leaving 4 homeless. Historic Fort King George Lighthouse restored after 2 decades. Steel pan added to Trinidad and Tobago's coat of arms. Murder near Starlight Plaza raises years toll to 12. Now for the details. A fire in Corinth settlement, St. Madeleine, early Sunday morning left 2 homes destroyed and 4 people homeless. The blaze started around 2:20 a.m. at the home of 67-year-old Rashida Mohammed, who narrowly escaped unharmed but lost all her belongings. The fire quickly spread to a neighboring house, displacing Ina and Ram Samujhari, both in their 60s, and their grandson. Councillor Sean Premchan visited the families and called for urgent government support, urging the Social Development Ministry to expedite grants for disaster victims. He also appealed for public assistance to help the families rebuild. The cause of the fire is under investigation by police and fire officials. Damages are yet to be assessed. After more than 20 years, the iconic lighthouse at Fort King George in Scarborough, Tobago, has been refurbished and officially recommissioned. The project, managed by E. Idcott, was handed over to the Tobago House of Assembly during a ceremony on January 13th. Phase 1, now complete, included refurbishing the lighthouse and a beacon. Phase 2, set to begin soon, will feature an observation deck and a new beacon expected in February. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine highlighted the creation of a Department of Antiquities to inventory and protect Tobago's artifacts. He emphasized using the island's cultural assets for preservation and tourism development. The National Emblems Bill 2025 was passed in Parliament on January 13th, marking a historic change to Trinidad and Tobago's coat of arms. Tourism and Culture Minister Randall Mitchell announced that the new design, replacing Columbus-era ships with a gold steel pan and sticks, will become official by January 1st, 2026, after a transitional period. Local jeweler and artist Gillian Bishop designed the updated emblem with approval from Pan Trinbago and Cabinet in 2024. Pan Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey Moore called the inclusion of the steel pan a proud and monumental moment, celebrating the instrument as a symbol of resilience and cultural legacy. A man known only as Atto was shot dead near Starlight Shopping Plaza on January 13th. Witnesses reported hearing gunshots around 9 p.m. and the victim was found minutes later on Cuthbert Road near Domino's Pizza. He was pronounced dead before an ambulance arrived. This latest killing brings the murder toll for the year to 12. Police are investigating and searching for the suspects, who are believed to have escaped in a white Toyota Fielder wagon. Well, that's News to the Hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
WESN.
Hello there, and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Well, we're focusing once more on politics. So there's a lot of conversations surrounding the state of emergency, of which we will get into later on this week. But let's focus on what is happening with other political parties. We've had a conversation with the Public Relations Officer of the United National Congress, Dr. Kurt Mew, who has given the reassurance that if an election is called tomorrow, the UNC is very much prepared. But now we're hearing of other political entities. One in particular seems to be making a comeback, and that is the Congress of the People. Now, this conversation focuses on the appointment of Prakash Ramana to the post of political leader. And whilst there was controversy initially, there was a National Council meeting that was held on Saturday past, in which Mr. Ramana received 94% of the votes, or at least from those who are part of the National Council that were present, and has been officially installed as political leader according to the constitution of the party. But still, there seems to be quite a bit of issues associated with that. And this is an important conversation because where has the Congress of the People been? In fact, are they going to play any role in a political alliance heading into the next general election? Well, an individual who has raised a number of concerns and issues is Wendell Eversley. He is a founding member of the party, a member of the first executive, and is a deputy political leader of the Congress of the People. He joins us this morning virtually. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to all your listeners, and let me wish you Happy New Year and Happy New Year to every single citizen of my beloved country, Trinidad and Tobago, and hope that 2025 will give us a year where, most of all, we must put God first and let God be the foundation member of Trinidad and Tobago. With all that we are facing right now in terms of the SOE and numbers of murders, but we still must not give up on God, because at the end of the day, we depend on God Almighty for the answers.
Well, Mr. Eversley, we certainly second that message, and a very happy new year to you as well. All the very best for 2025. But in terms of all the very best, the year it did not end so well as it relates to the Congress of the People, but it started quite in an intriguing fashion with the National Council meeting on Saturday. Let me first ask you, as a member of the first executive and as a deputy political leader, where has the Congress of the People been for the last 10 years?
Well, the Congress of the People have been existing just as the other main political party, right? It's just that the media mostly focus themselves on the two major parties, which is the PNM and the United National Congress, the opposition and the ruling party. But the Congress of the People have been there doing their work quietly, and want the best for Trinidad and Tobago. As we always say, we want is a party that stands for integrity, honesty, and we also like to see the new politics of this country, because the Congress of the People, when we founded in 2005, right, we was the one who was introducing the new politics to Trinidad and Tobago. And we are still a party that's based on those principles, and we are continue to do what we continue to do, and that is the one good governance in Trinidad and Tobago. And I have been fighting for that ever since I've been a founding member of the Congress of the People, one who took 10 nights along with the founding father and others, and went throughout the country and had 51 meetings. And today, Congress of the People is one of the party that formed in Trinidad and Tobago, where a lot of people, a lot of citizens was expecting a lot from us. But again, as in all our homes, you see, we have those who just want to break the rules and see how best they could try to get things in a household not functioning properly. But I want to make sure that I will continue to fight for that and make sure that we do things the right way, so that when we get in government, we do not do things the wrong way.
Well, you're speaking about doing things the right way, but you already expressed your opinion that this National Council meeting held on Saturday was done the wrong way. And you've made actually quite a serious allegation of voter padding. Please, elaborate a bit further as per exactly what transpired on Saturday, which has led to these allegations.
I served my party a legal letter, right? Questioning whether Prakash Ramadan was ever appointed as deputy political leader based on public statement by former interim political leader. And on the 17th of December, I was there present in a meeting where Kurt Sinnott, the former interim political leader, said he resigned as interim political leader of the party and appoint Prakash Ramadan as political leader of the party. He did not say deputy political leader, right? He said he appointed him as political leader of the party. After that appointment by Kurt Sinnott, he went further and he did interviews with Gail Alexander and other radio interviews stating that he appointed Prakash Ramadan as the political leader of the Congress of the People. Now, Kurt Sinnott do not have the authority to appoint anybody as political leader. And according to our constitution, which I did a press conference in front of Parliament on about 3 weeks ago, and I outlined that according to our constitution, the outgoing political leader do not have the authority, and the only body that could appoint a political leader, according to 17(1) of our constitution, interim or acting political leader, is the National Council. So one have to question if that National Council that held on Saturday gone, if that was illegally constituted or legally constituted or illegally constituted. And from judging from watching the pictures and all these things that I have seen post up, I have to question if there was a coup planned inside of the COP, right, to appoint Prakash Ramadan as interim or political leader of the Congress of the People.
A coup by whom exactly?
Because when you look at the pictures, right, and I gathered more information, and I saw people who never took part in our party activities for the past 10 years. I saw people who went up on other political parties, went up for, as candidates in other political parties, was there present and voting. So this cannot be, because our constitution outlined, right, that the delegates are either from the parliamentary arm, they're either from the youth arm, the women's arm, the executive, elected executive members, or people who serve as chairman or executive position in constituencies that are functioning. And we must also remember that in 2016, when Prakash Ramadan resigned as political leader of the COP, he never ever took part in any activities concerning the COP. After that, I remember, for instance, he went in the parliament and said he's an independent, while he was the lone member of parliament for the Congress of the People in the period of 2015 to 2020. And one must not forget, in 2016, we had a local government election, and the Congress of the People set up certain, about certain candidates went up to represent the Congress of the People in certain regional corporation and borough. And that we had a particular candidate in St. Augustine, Amit Mahabir. I recall Amit Mahabir and Prakash Ramada, who was the sitting MP in St. Augustine for the Congress of the People, while Amit Mahabir was the candidate for St. Augustine, Kuep Page. He never walked the road with Amit Mahabir. Also in 2020, when Carolyn Sipasad Bechan was the candidate for St. Augustine, and he was the sitting member of parliament. I remember campaigning with Carolyn Sipasad Bechan, and people was telling us they are not supporting the Congress of the People because of Prakash Ramada operating in that same constituency of St. Augustine. And Prakash Ramada was also nowhere wrong to even come out and campaign with Carolyn Sipasad Bechan, who was then back the political leader of the COP. Also, we must not forget that Ms. Bridge Mohan, who was the deputy political leader, who tried on numerous occasions under Carolyn Sipasad Bechan to form the parliamentary arm and called Prakash Ramada on numerous times to ask him to lead the parliamentary arm according to our constitution. And he never took up the opportunity to lead. So how come in this last minute, Prakash Ramada so concerned about the Congress of the People? And I am questioning what is Prakash Ramada's motive at this last moment. Why he didn't come from January 2023 or January 2024? Why
But Mr.
come?
Eversley, if I may interject, the points that you're raising, I wouldn't say they're necessarily unfair. I can't verify that at this point. However, I will say that I get the impression that whilst the Congress of the People, it certainly needs some invigoration and needs new life in it. The argument that you're making is Prakash Ramana was not a good political leader of the COP, but it also seems as though you're not in favor of him at all being a part of the COP going forward. And so this has nothing to do anymore with the National Council or the election. It just seems to be something against Mr. Ramada.
It's not nothing against Mr. Ramada. It's how we conduct our business in the COP. And one, we must do things with integrity. And if we're talking about obeying our party constitution, right? And he on record went and said he did not follow the proper guidance of the constitution of the party. So the question I'm asking today is, was Prakash Ramada appointed the proper way as deputy political leader by outgoing interim political leader Kurt Sinnott? And Kurt Sinnott never at the public meeting at a meeting on the 17th of December, where I was present, Kurt Sinnott never mentioned that he appointed Prakash Ramada as a deputy political leader. He said he appointed him as political leader, and Prakash Ramada was also present in that meeting. And if Prakash Ramada is a lawyer by profession, a seasoned lawyer in this country, why would he allow, and knowing exactly well also what the Constitution states, to continue, right, allowing a former interim political leader, appoint him as political leader? He never said deputy political leader, he said political leader. So I am dealing with what was the public statement and the public utterance make after following Prakash Ramada being appointed in political leader of the Congress of the People. And if we cannot do things the right way, do you think we'll do things when we get in government the proper way? So we have to make sure that we do things the correct way in our party first. And then we could say we go into the public domain and telling the people, these are the things that the COP stand for. And these are the things that our constitution guide us in how
Apart from your, apart from yourself, and at this point, Prakash Rawat is political leader. I believe Lonsdale Williams is chairman. Who else actually makes up the executive of the COP at this time?
Before you go to who make up the executive of the COP, we have a lot of members make up this executive of the COP. We must not forget also too that in 2016 we had a leadership team that was running the affairs of the COP when Prakash Ramada was political leader. We must not forget we went to court, and the court deemed under Wiki Rahim, who was the judge, presiding judge, said that what they was doing was operating illegally, and myself and Carolyn had to restore the organs back into the COP. We must not forget that judgment, and the judge also said in his ruling that if the 3 persons didn't resign while the matter was before the court, you would hold them accountable for the state that they have the COP in. And under Carolyn Sipasad Bechan, she make sure that the executive function, the organs function, the National Council function. We had election of a political leader. We had election of also of a national executive, and we went on all this, and we submit as how the Constitution state by having our National Council meeting in Charlieville under Carolyn Sipasad Bechan. We had 3 offices operating. We had one in Shogunas, one in Charlieville, and one out in Aruka. When Carolyn came in, the COP was just operating with a secretary and a desk. And we continue to build the organs of the COP. And I am saying that we have to stand by the Constitution. We have been guided by our Constitution. And we cannot have people who left this party, join another party, and then come at a meeting on Saturday and say, claiming that is delegates belonging to one of the arms that I outlined where our Constitution is guided by. And I also understand that the chairman and the vice chairman did not take part in Saturday proceedings. And why? Why they did not take part?
Did you take part in Saturday's proceedings?
What is that?
Did you take part in Saturday's proceedings?
I was out of the country. I served them a legal letter, and I said we must be guided by the Constitution of our party and how we conduct the affairs at that National Council meeting on Saturday gone.
So coming back to the executive of the COP.
Also, Ms. Bechan tried to raise an issue, a point, questioning if these people was delegates here on Saturday, and she was shouted down. I understand she was shouted down. So why they allow these things to happen? Why the chairman and a vice chairman of a party, right, who play a very important role, did not take part in the proceeding that took place on Saturday gone?
Well, I come back again to my question about the executive of the party, because is there an executive currently installed, an executive leadership body that is currently installed?
Yeah. It have after 2020, when we went to the general election, then we must remember we had COVID for 2 years, and the executive was meeting. It have members who will not be there on certain particular time for executive meetings and things, but the executive was continue functioning. And this is one of the reasons why the court ruled in 2017 that the membership team that was appointed, and who appointed that membership team? That membership council of 3 persons, of 3 deputies. Clyde Weatherhead was one of them. Dr. Anarud was one of them. And I think Ms. Plichette. And what the court ruled against? The court ruled of saying that so long as you have an executive in place, right, your executive is the one who run the party. And we had an executive functioning. We had the vice chairman, we have other executive members, which included myself.
Prior to Saturday's, prior to what transpired Saturday, though, when was the last time executive leadership elections took place within the party?
The chairman called a Zoom meeting prior to Saturday meeting about 3 weeks ago. And then he called a meeting again to set up this meeting on Saturday concerning the National Council.
But before this, the last time an election took place was when? 2020 or 2016?
The last time an election took place in the COP was in 2018, 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm. So I come to this point because I need some more
You see,
background information. People need more background information. But Mr. Eversly, how is this going to be resolved internally? Because quite frankly, at the beginning of the conversation, you said the COP was working, the COP was functioning, but when this whole issue with Mr. Ramana arose, people asked a question, including myself. Was the COP even alive? Was the COP actually still a part of the political atmosphere in Trinidad and Tobago? Now we're getting that impression. How you resolve this issue?
How we resolve this issue is we have to do things the proper way. Nobody questioning, nobody saying who should come in the party, who shouldn't not come in the party. But you must come in the party, work with the party, build with the party. We must also remember that we had a leadership election, and where the same leadership council wanted to break the constitution and put somebody in as a candidate to run in a leadership election. The court ruled also against that and said we cannot be breaking our own constitution, and we cannot have lawyers who knows the constitution, knows it better than me, right? And who are seasoned lawyers in the courts of Trinidad and Tobago. And the only way we could solve this issue is if we do things the proper way, just as how the current executive on numerous occasions, right? When people wanted to serve, I remember to serve this law, our current chairman, legal action, calling him to call leadership election, and the chairman also had to get legal advice, and he was legally advised that he must stick to the constitution of the party. And the chairman and the chairman and the other executive members used to tell people, let us go back and build the circles of circles in our constituencies, and then we could have a election for political leader and other executive members. Until then, the executives remain until the constitution, what govern us, that we abide by it. And I asking the question, right, is the constitution was followed on Saturday? Were those members who was present, the 27th and the 27 or the 34 persons who was there, are they really delegates, or are they people who was just called on a phone to come and support Prakash Ramadan? So these are the questions must be answered. And if we are operating so as a party, much more if we get in government, what will happen? And we cannot, and I am not going to allow that we go down this road, what we went through in 2016. The same Prakash Ramadan, after he left the party, resigned, he was nowhere seen, even to help build the party, even to help constitute organs where the party is considered. Why is this last moment? And I want to ask the question, is Prakash promised a safe seat, St. Augustine or Shogunas West? I have been working, calling for a grand alliance, meeting with other political parties, where we had meetings with other political parties. We even signed an MOU with other political parties, that this MOU going to follow, going to now be continue as the MOU that we signed with other parties, or are we going to break this MOU and say the COP is no longer in coalition?
Mr. Eversly, did you have a preference for a political for a candidate for political leader?
If I have a preference, the party will decide that. And it will decide.
But you in particular, was there somebody who you would have preferred to lead the COP going forward?
I will want to see the person who leading the COP forward is a person who stands for what the COP constitution said and what the party is built on.
But based on what you're saying this morning, there seems to be nobody in the party at this time.
It has people in the party, but I don't want to call their name right now. I don't want to put them in the fray right now. But in order for we to try to call people name, right, I want to see we do things the right way.
Well, Mr. Eversley, at this time, question marks surrounding the executive leadership, that certainly needs to be sorted out and hopefully sorted out internally soon. Prior to what transpired in December, we didn't even know if the COP existed, and now it seems as though there's a possibility they may be heading into a general election. I believe that there is a memorandum of understanding that has been signed between the COP, between Hope and the NTA. So
Yes.
we're waiting to hear further on that. Right, but Mr. Eversley, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Thank you for the points that you've raised. Of course, we'll be keeping a focus on this. Mr. Ramada has spoken already in response to the claims that you've put forward. He has dismissed them for all reasons, and at this time, Mr. Eversley, it's something that needs to be sorted out internally. Hopefully, of course, that happens soon.
Yes, it will. But the person who have been dismissed must undo it. I say no more.
Miss Eversley, thank you very much. All the very best to you.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye. A gentleman who wants the right thing to be done, Mr. Wendell Eversley, joining us on the program this morning. We've interviewed Mr. Eversley in a capacity previously. Every year he marches on the anniversary of the coup. He marches to the Red House, pushing for the Commission of Inquiry and the recommendations from that report to be made public. At this point, however, we are interviewing him in a different capacity in which he's still advocating for the right thing to be done. Thing is, internally, when it comes to a political party, there are going to be so many opinions as per exactly what the right thing is. Mr. Everly has laid his cards on the table. Mr. Rauda has responded. Let's see what happens next. But at this point, the Congress of the People seem to be gaining some life. Whether or not it's good or bad, well, that's up to you to decide. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break on the program. We will return shortly.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus, quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
The best birthday gifts are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices, like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Just a correction for my outro in the last interview. Not the recommendations from the Commission of Inquiry to be installed, but a Commission of Inquiry into the 1990 coup. Mr. Wendell Eversley advocates for every year when he does that work to the Red House. So just to correct that, ladies and gentlemen. But moving forward now, as we focus on security, and I would say national security as well, focusing on a situation that needs to be dealt with nationwide. And one of the things that I questioned when we enacted a state of emergency, and that was in relation to school starting back last week, Monday, was whether or not we were going to see anything different at schools. Are we going to see more police presence? In instances in the past, when there have been unfortunate circumstances, we've heard we're going to see increased patrols or increased police presence in these areas around these schools. Is that happening? Well, I don't know, but one gentleman who can tell me that is the president of Tutor, Mr. Martin Lumpkin. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Shah. Good morning to your viewers and listeners, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year indeed. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, Mr. Lumpkin, it's been a week and a half. Has the reopening of schools for the second term of the academic year been smooth up until this point?
What depends on how one views the reopening of school, from which lens or which angle one can say it's a smooth reopening. However, there were a number of schools that were challenged due to infrastructural health and safety issues. One such, and the beginning of this week, we would have seen the Honorable Minister of Education visit the Aranguez North Secondary School. In that school particular, there was a refusal to work. The OSH agency has lifted the refusal to work because some works were done with the air conditioned unit, blocks, I think B1 and B2. Some works were done as well. However, there's a long outstanding block E, where where the labs and the wrapper areas, those areas that are necessary, and we're seeing that the school-based assessment SBAs are coming up, and the school is very, very challenged in having to fulfill the SBAs. There's also, I think, block F, where there's still air quality concerns, etc. And so we're hopeful that the visit by the Honorable Minister will produce some relief to them. However, we are not too confident. We see that this is an election year, and as such, election gimmickry, public relations gimmickry are going to be popping itself up. But we are hopeful still, because that block E is essential for Aranguez. We have other schools like San Fernando Central Government where 2 blocks were condemned. They were brought down during the vacation, but nothing put up to replace them, and they are having challenges in housing these offerings. Um, the FNN had to, that's food and nutrition, they had to go to another school, Astra Girls, in order to do their labs for the SBAs as well too. We have had other schools, Princestown West Secondary continued to have their infrastructural challenges. There are a number of schools decanted that are still there. Presal Government Primary School. So, and the list goes on. I can name a number, but they are having their challenges, and it's although they are hopeful, it's not really a bright new year for them because they would, and SEA is coming up in April 10th, so you can well imagine the preparation for this most high-stake examination is being stymied, and they are not getting the opportunity, the fighting chance to have these students do well.
So essentially, no. I say all that because I'm glad you gave details, but essentially, these are issues that we hear time and time again. I'm not entirely surprised. The thing is, I hope these issues are sorted out before the pui blooms. You know that saying in Transmega about when the pui blooms and it
Yes.
comes to exams are right around the corner.
Yeah.
So I maybe very much optimistic in dealing with that, but the mere fact that kids and children throughout the nation face these issues in striving to get an education, it is ridiculous. It's unfortunate. But the other issue that you've also raised is the security, additional security at
Yes.
schools across Transmigo. I know you gave one example of the San North Secondary School following the fire,
Yeah.
but generally speaking, to your knowledge and also the reports that you've received, is security at schools across the nation adequate? Are there schools that need additional security for whatever the reason may be?
So we have been advocating to the Ministry of Education that they have skeletal um, security staff um, in all primary schools, most of them that I am aware of. There's only one security guard, and the security guard has to patrol during the day. What happens to the point of entry when they go to patrol? It means that that gate has to be locked. No, and there are schools with multiple points of entry that they can utilize in dismissal and even when school starts. But you only have one security guard, and that really prevents them from having proper security measures in place. So in the first instance, all primary schools should have at least two, depending as well on the size of the compound and the number of occupants. So in that regard, it's not adequate. In secondary schools, you have assigned sometimes what we call 1 by 3, one corporal and 3 officers. And during the course of the day or early in the morning, sometimes one officer will be pulled from that complement because there's a need for an officer at another compound. So they are reduced. But there are some very large compounds. Shogunas North Secondary, Princestown West Secondary, Saparia West Secondary, these former senior comprehensive schools. You're talking about 21 acres of land for the compound, and you have 4 or 5 officers. There's not proper, security measures to be put in place in terms, and then you have the instances where they pull from them. What we saw at Shogunas North Secondary during the COVID period, because there were not much occupants on the compound, the complement was reduced. And when we came post-COVID, they did not carry back the complement to what it should be. So right now they are languishing with the fact that they have not had the amount of officers. CCTV cameras, we have advocated for a number of our, if not all, a number of our schools to have CCTV cameras so that off-site monitoring can take place, or even monitoring in the various parts of the compound. there are schools that do not have their health and safety officers who would be additional complements to assist with discipline and, the whole aspect of security. Some have one, some they had their other guard transferred to another school. We had shifting around of these safety officers. And what has to be pointed out with this, when a safety officer is assigned to a school and a number of years would have worked there, they have established a rapport, a certain relationship with not only the staff, but the students as well. And when you uproot them and carry them to a new school, then they now have to re-establish it, which takes a little while. And the new persons coming in will have to learn the culture and, interact. So these are
But sorry, Mr. Lumpkin,
yes.
sorry to interject, but that may actually be seen as a positive. Don't get security too comfortable or too familiar with those on the ground. You need somebody who does not necessarily have that familiarity in order to ensure that there is, security.
Yeah, one can look at it at that aspect, sorry. But when you are dealing with, and remember there's a rotation and intake and outtake of new students. But the whole culture of the school, and even within the culture of working with the administration and teachers, you have these persons, and to say that maybe a little having to say that the integrity of these officers are brought into question. I can tell you the majority of our school safety officers, they do human service. They go beyond the call of duty. I know of number of secondary school principals who are quite pleased, and when they move them, they were, it was a bit uneasy because you have these new persons coming in. And I can tell you generally, the respect of these students to these officers who will enforce the law, but also will show some level of empathy toward, which is necessary towards some of these students, because we can, see their background, and the only places of attention sometimes they get is in the school. And so when you have these officers doing that and move them, it's a bit uneasy.
How often are surveys completed to determine how many officers are needed, given the size of the compound, the school compound, and the number of students present? Is that something that takes place often? Added to that, do the security guards on the compound, to your knowledge, have the necessary equipment needed to secure the compound?
In terms of the survey, I cannot recall when last a survey was done, at least the Ministry of Education informing the administration and tutor about that. So I would say years now. A comprehensive survey has not been done in order to. I am not. I hope that the ministry is not doing that because they are fearful of what they may discover, and if they do that, there's evidence for them to improve on it. So I am hopeful that that is not the case. But on a yearly basis, because of how the crime and criminality and violence and indiscipline is rearing itself these days, I would believe that on a yearly basis, the needs of all schools should be assessed in terms of school security. Because it's not only about security guards, it's about perimeter fencing, it's about, as we said earlier, CCTV cameras. It's also about health and safety as well, where you can look at the infrastructure as well too. That should be done on a yearly basis, but it's not being done. Preventative maintenance is not being done. It's a matter of only emergency cases or cases where schools will be shut down. In terms of the second part, could you just remind me of the
Whether or not security officers, to your knowledge, are well equipped and well resourced to actually carry out their duties and functions in the best possible way?
In terms of their equipment, I know in some instances they are served with the baton. However, communication devices seems to be a problem. So they used to have mobile handheld devices, not cell phones, but what we call the walkie-talkies. And all of a sudden, it just was pulled back. And so if there's an emergency and they have to contact head office or they have to contact the TTPS, then they are really restricted in that manner. They depend on the schools to do that. However, there are some schools that would have scanners, which needs to be improved as well too. And in terms of other equipment, they need to. I want to say at this point, there has been talk in the past, probably quite recently, but even in the past, about armed officers at schools. We are at this time not advocating for that. That presents a number of issues, especially given the nature and the whole school system. You really don't want to have an armed officer on the compound. One of the other things is the how it presents itself, what it looks like. And our school, when I was at St. Francois Girls Secondary recently in Belmont, so the Belmont area is a hotspot. They have these tall walls, and at the top of it has razor wire or security wire on the top. And the gates they are big gates as well. And I was lamenting to my colleague, I said, these schools are looking more and more like prisons. And when you present that sort of psychological picture to students as well too, and now if you include armed persons, then there's that perception that schools are becoming like prisons. And there's a perception even in your home with all of these burglar proof that you have. You are like in a prison itself. You are trying to keep out the unwanted persons, but you are now imprisoning yourself. So we have to be very cautious about the that image that we are presenting of schools. It really should not be.
Well, I think given where we are at as a nation, it's not entirely surprising when it comes to the criminal element. And I know you've made it clear you're not advocating for armed security on compounds at this time. Fair enough. But my initial reaction when you said security officers have batons was whether or not that is sufficient.
Yes.
Again, given the times that we are living in. But you've made your position clear on that. However, the other aspect of this is that up to last year, October, there were reports coming in that there are gangs operating. I believe it was at the Pleasantville Secondary School. There were parents who were indicated that Pina Secondary School as well. There were gangs operating there. Now, the Minister of Education was quick to shut it down and indicated that there was no need for police presence at these schools. That was in October last year. Do you agree with those comments made in October last year? Has more information come to tutor suggesting otherwise?
The presence of law enforcement, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, even the Defense Force, is necessary in some of the areas. Whether they will be stationed full-time or permanent is another question we can look at. However, the static patrols, the presence of those officers outside of the schools, at the beginning of school, at the end of school, and during some course of time, you can have the mobile patrol. But you need to have those presence there established. We've seen in the past where it will start, and then during some time in the term, because we understand it's a manpower shortage as well too. They have to be pulled from these areas to go and deal with other crime fighting initiatives, etc. So we are hopeful that their complements can be increased, their resources can be increased. The whole idea of crime, criminality, violence, and indiscipline has its roots deeper than what we are really looking at. And if we have to address it, we have to look at what are the causes of the whole aspect. We are just treating it surface-wise. We are just putting plasters on gaping sores that will not hold eventually, will hold it for a short period. And so the issue of having officers present should be on a short term. We should be dealing with it socially. We should be dealing with it at the level of the family, the community, etc. And I don't think, I am not confident that we are doing that at this present time. But as you spoke out as well about equipment, and so there's the possibility of having tasers, but you have to be trained in the use and that whole proper administering of it, because you don't want any rogue officer tasing a student, just for the sake of it to immobilize. There has to be the proper usage of it and how to use it and when to use it as well too. But sometimes when we have some equipment at our disposal, we feel that is the first option. It is usually the last option. So it may be that we can utilize, but there has to be a very good conversation in that, because you're dealing with children as well too. So in how you deal with them, you have to be cautious. Although they are involved in gangs and they are more violent, we have to really assess it before we put that in.
In that regard as well, a week and a half since schools have reopened, it's 2.5 weeks since the state of emergency has been declared in Trinidad and Tobago. Has that in any way impacted the functioning and operations of schools?
It has not impacted in the regular operations of schools. We are aware of the additional powers of the police officers, but we can say that in the past, police officers can come onto the compound of the school if there are any suspicion of any activities, illegal activities, etc. So in terms of that additional powers, there isn't any difference. However, we are hopeful that in the so-called hotspot areas, that they will be dealing with the rogue elements that are affecting our schools as well too. So we are hopeful for positive impact on the schools when it comes to crime and violence and indiscipline. We are still assessing the situation and seeing how it goes, because as far as our feedback goes, there are no negative or no even positive, great positive in the SOE, but we are hopeful any measures that can address it will be done.
Well, only time will tell. Mr. Lumpkin, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Thank you indeed for raising these points, and of course we will continue to keep an eye on what is happening and reach out when necessary. And of course, we extend the same to you. Please reach out anytime when necessary for these issues to be raised. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. As always, it's an honor, a privilege to be on, and anytime, yes, you can reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Take care, sir. All the best.
Yeah, all the best. Take care.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if Trinidad and Tobago wasn't wild enough, we're going to make it a bit more wild. We've got Wild Wednesday in a bit, so stay tuned for that. I wonder what animal will be on today. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. We're working on getting a Wild Wednesdays back in studio, because there's lots more out there to present. But for now, enjoy this previously aired episode of Wild Wednesday. Following this break, stay with us.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus, quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
If these walls could talk, they'd cry uncle. They didn't plan to become offices or yoga studios. But they've stood by us, even when we got a little stir-crazy. For that, they deserve some thanks. They deserve Benjamin Moore.
My name is Dr. Stephen Carroll, the CEO at Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist, and we are committed to making good private health care affordable.
For all your medical needs, including dental, radiology, laparoscopy, behavioral and mental health, along with many other services, contact us for more information at 235-5479.
Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
No need for any better introduction, as that bumper itself did all the work that I had to do. Welcome back to AM Prime, Ricardo Mead. Good morning.
Good morning, and how are you?
I am doing well. How are you? See, you've got your hands full.
Hands full, and I am exhausted. I am exhausted, but excited.
Okay.
You know? So, because our guest here today is a very special bird with an amazing story.
I see, by the way, that you and the bird seem to be very close. You all are matching quite a bit, huh?
Yes. It's the gray-lined hawk and the gray-bearded man. We are here today to bring this amazing story to, spread it to the world, and it's a very important message behind this guy's story.
So, Ricardo, gray-lined hawk, but do we have a name for this fellow?
This guy is called Uwi.
Uwi?
Yes. U-W-I, as in University of the West Indies, yes.
Most interesting name. How did you go about naming him?
Well, many times when we name the animals that come through, mainly our ambassadors, they're usually named after rescuer or location, or sometimes some odd quirk that, only us kind of get inside as an inside joke, and then we have to share it with people. So his being called Uwi means that he was rescued in Uwi. And the story is an amazing one.
How so? I'm curious. I'm very intrigued.
Let's jump in on a little time machine and go back to just about a year and a month ago.
Okay.
A year and a month ago, we were at the center and we got a call from the University of the West Indies that there was a bird, which they believe to be a hawk, just sitting in a low shrub, not moving. It's been there for hours, not moving. And so we asked our protocol, can you send us pictures of the bird so we can identify it and try to figure out what's going on? Got the picture of the bird, opened it up, gray-lined hawk. Not just a gray-lined hawk, but the reason he wasn't moving is, as we suspected, something called rodenticide toxicity.
Rodenticide
toxicity. If you've been to UE, a lot of government campuses and places of business and so on, in Trinidad and Tobago, we utilize a tremendous amount of rat poison. Mm-hmm. Different forms of rat poison, but rat poison. And you can usually tell because they have these bait stations, as it were. So the rats go in.
Seen many.
Yes, right. In some places, every 10 feet you see. So that's a lot of poison out there. So the rats go into the bait station, which is protected from the elements, these beautiful plastic houses, and they eat the poison. And now the poison starts having effects on the rats. So the rats now seek to counteract it. And how they counteract it, they go outside and look for water. stuff like that. When they go outside, a bird like Yui here, a gray-line hawk, sees like, wow, look at that nice fat rat just moving slowly through the car park or next to the building, swoops down, grabs it, and eats it. And as a result, rodenticide toxicity.
It's transferred, yeah.
Poison transfers. Yeah, the poison doesn't break down as it hits the rat. It's in there. And one of the most popular poison is actually a drug that we must use. I think we spoke about it before. It's called warfarin.
Warfarin, yeah.
Very, very toxic in the right quantities to rats. Very, very helpful in the right quantities to humans because of what it does. It keeps the blood from clotting. In other words, it can cause bleeding out.
It's amazing how rat poison is medicine for humans.
Yeah. So that is why we tell people when you think something is bad, it's not all the way bad. Okay? Imagine the first time people mess with pepper. Right?
What a thought.
Yeah, the first time, ooh, cherry. Never touch that again. There's somebody, okay, that was a red one. Look, there's a yellow cherry. Never touch that again. Okay, maybe the green one would be better. Never touch it again. But somehow we found a way to blend just enough in the right way to make it work. Right? He can't make up his mind when he wants to be in the glove or the hands. I'm just giving him the option, whatever makes him comfortable.
I think he's curious. It's a new environment for him.
Right, yeah. I'm going to get him back on the glove where I have a little more control. Right? So it's just anything working one way can work the other way. For example, Viagra was a side effect of other drugs they were testing, So we're testing and we're trying to get people's blood pressure to control, and all these guys had a similar side effect.
Up something else.
Everybody's, all of a sudden paying attention, and everybody's like, wait a minute, we're onto something here. Yes, you're definitely onto something here. One of the most popular drugs in the world. Okay, so we have to look at things in its entirety sometimes, not just one way. And that's a trend we often do in Trinidad. Look at things one way. Look at the other side. Take a holistic view. Step back and get a big picture, and then you can understand. So we took Yui in a year ago, and we intense course of medication that involves a sulfate-based drug and charcoal and vitamin K to correct that issue. The bleeding out vitamin K is very good. I'm going to get him back on the glove there. In fact, I think I'm going to have to move this perch because he's just excited by this perch and wants to get on the perch. And now he's facing his gun to me. What do you usually tell people? When the bird is facing you, you are safe. When he turns his tail to you and he wiggles it, you're in trouble because they do something called projectile pooping. So he can throw that poop up to 6 feet away.
Wait, what? 6 feet?
Up to 6 feet away.
Yeah.
Projectile pooping. And I'm like, why would a bird need to shoot poop like a gun? Well, it's to keep their area clean.
Yeah, so you keep him facing you. I'm glad with that.
And he changes his mind. Okay, great. Lovely. He understands the mission. Yeah. Do not poop on your handler, especially on national television, that kind of thing. Right?
Actually, you could poop on record on national television. It's fine.
The host would be more dramatic.
No, it's okay.
Wearing his nice suit. That's a nice jacket, by the way.
Thank you.
And gray line, gray poop, it might just blend right in there. You never know. It'll just work. Yeah. So after his intense medication, I'm talking about this bird had to get injections every 4 hours initially. Wow. Throughout the day. It's an intense program to get this bird back. When the bird comes in, the eyes are swollen, its body is trembling. Whenever it moves and it's just there, it looks like it's just about to die.
I'm curious too, where do you inject the bird? How do you actually hold the bird, bird to inject the bird?
Wrap it up like a baby in swaddling cloth and inject it intermuscular, so into its chest muscle. So the bird is absolutely not liking that. That area becomes red and bruised, and so it looks like an abuse, a victim, because so many injections into that. So we just have to use different spots on that chest because that chest muscle is so big.
And when you first got him, though, what you thought his chances of survival were?
At that point, it was, I would say, he probably had a 30% chance.
Wow.
At that point. Yeah, he was looking messed up. But the drugs worked. I mean, after the first day, the first thing, the eyes open, and then, you know, the head starts coming up, because the head is down, the eyes are all puffy, the head starts coming up, and then it can stand on its own, you know, and it just, you know, then it starts responding to movement and light and you, and then it tries to kill you. So it becomes, the better you do with the bird, the more difficult and dangerous it becomes. Because now that the bird is beginning to get its sense of awareness, and remember, this is a wild animal, he is trying to foot you, he's trying to kill you. He wants out because you're a horrible predator who keeps picking him up every few hours and hurting him. Those injections hurt, okay? Shoving stuff down his throat hurts. So he doesn't like that at all. But we were able to get him back up looking quite normal and looking good, and we put jesses and anklets on him. Well, mainly anklets, because the aim was, if this bird is good, it can fly. So we were going to fly him on a crayon line and see how he flies and everything like that, like he's trying to do now. And if he flew well, he's going to go up on the perch there again. I'm going to let him go. Right? Yeah, he's going to go up on the perch in a moment there. The idea, if he's flying well and he can kill, he's ready to go back in the wild.
Yeah.
But before we were able to complete his flying training, he escaped.
He escaped?
He escaped. So we said, wow, he's good enough to escape like that. That's it. He's good. That's a release. That's called a self-release. He released himself. He's gone. He flew off. We couldn't, I mean, he literally out of the enclosure and he was gone into the trees. And then we look, is that him? He's gone again. Now, the center is in Freeport, Calcutta #2 in Freeport. UE is in St. Augustine. Just bear that in mind for geographic perspective.
Good distance.
Good distance. So he escaped. Let's bring the time machine forward and just go back to about a month ago. We get a call from the University of the West Indies, again, about a hawk, this time on the ground, eyes swollen, head down, and just trembling every so often. Who do you think it is?
Is he an addict?
Well, one, to understand the nature of raptors, one, they're monogamous. Once they pair for life.
Yeah.
So that will always bring you back. He stay home, so he went back.
He found himself way back to UE.
Right back to UE. So that bird flew from Calcutta right back to UE. But not just going back to UE and of course doing the same thing that he did before that put him in the situation that he's in right now. He went back and ate poisoned rats. And I guess you could say it's because there are a lot of poison rats there. But that's what he did. He ate poison rats. So again, we get the call. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if it could be the same bird. And part of me is saying, Ricardo, Freeport, Calcutta, UE, there's no way it's the same bird.
You got so much swampland, so much grassland between.
So much. Get there, open the box, because I told him, okay, see if you can get the bird into a box. Put a towel on him, get him in a box. So at least he is restrained and he's protected, and we can get him. Because the last thing we want is to get there and then, well, he kind of walked off somewhere, we don't know where he is. Or a cat got him, or a dog got him. So open the box, and the first thing we see are the leather anklets that we put on the bird. And I know this is a special leather anklet, it's buffalo leather. So that leather lasted, and that's the reason we got that leather. Somebody gifted us, said that is a great leather, it lasts through falconry. And a year later, the bird had the anklets on, and we were able to identify him as the exact same bird that escaped from us, went back and did the same thing yet again.
So there is a possibility that he may do it again.
Well, he definitely will go back to UE if released. That's what he will do.
So then, if that is the case, could he be released safely?
Right now, we don't believe so.
So he may have to be an animal ambassador given his...
Right now, he is in a training program that allows him to fly. We're going to be flying this bird, and the possibility will come along to use him in pest control. So he will have his freedom to a certain extent and be able to fly and be able to kill, but not end up in UE again doing what he did before.
Well, I mean, it's not just UE, because yes, he would go back to UE,
yeah.
But you're not going to catch every single predatory bird. But given that these bait boxes or rat poison is used, it's so common, as you said.
Very prevalent.
I've seen it in UE, yes, they're sometimes 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a bit of a flat. I thought he was going to poop on me for a second because he's back. How common is rodenticide toxicity?
About 3 weeks later, we got another call. Malabar, a white hawk at the side of the road.
Oh God, I love the white hawks, yeah.
Rodenticide toxicity. yet again. You see, one of the first signs is just the swollen eyes. And that tells you that this bird has a sort of toxicity going on. The body is there, shaking, the head is down, the eyes are swollen.
Were you able to save the white hawk?
We were able to save the white hawk, and the white hawk was released last week. So that video should come out tomorrow.
2 weeks. So 2 weeks in rehabilitation.
Yeah, but almost 3 weeks. That bird back into the. Once it has regained full function, remember it's a wild bird, so we do not have to train him to do anything. Once we're confident that he can fly, and his mental faculties are not impaired in any way, he can go right back out there. And when you see this video, as soon as that box was open and this bird took off, you knew this bird is like, thank you, I am back home. I'm not going after any rats again. At least that's what we're hoping, that he won't go after rats. But easy food is easy food.
But yeah, exactly, because the primary part of Yui's diet would be rats.
Yeah, rats and birds and stuff like that there. So we've started the conversation. First part of the conversation is, hey, do not use rat poison. Hold on, let me get him back up here. He's gonna come up right easy, kind of like this here. There we go. Yeah, do not use rat poison. Use other more humane methods, and humane not just for the rat, because poisoning is an aggravating and abusive death.
But what other methods are there?
Remember the old rat trap, what they call the rat trap? Well, the rat trap, that spring trap that snaps and almost busts the rat neck in half,
yeah, but
that is actually very humane.
Okay, so Ricardo, I understand what you're saying, but citizens out there are going to say, one, I don't want to have to pick up a dead rat with a broken neck who's possibly the head could be snapped off, I don't know. And rat poison is just cheaper. Rats will eat the poison and run away and die somewhere else.
Oh yeah? We've had call-ins to many homes. I remember a very fancy home in Westmoreland that the people wanted to leave. The husband was threatening to sell the house. They used poison. The rats ate the poison and got into their fancy walls and died.
Into the walls?
Yeah. I've had a hotel in Trinidad call me for almost 2 weeks straight because they could not find the rat that they poisoned, and it was into the hotel, and actually the scent was being like pulled into the air-conditioned ducts and being distributed. So you still have a body somewhere, and they still will die and they still will rot. It's easier if they died there that you can control it than die somewhere else.
Point one for the old-fashioned rat trap.
Right. So it's not harming anything else. So for example, you have to understand how poison works. When and how rats work. Rats are amazing creatures. And if we have a total meltdown on Earth, they and cockroaches most likely going to survive because they are brilliant.
Listen, I've actually, in Kirep, right outside of UE's perimeter walls, I saw running across the road what I thought to be a cat. And when I say a cat, I meant a large cat. Happened to be a rat.
Yeah. I've seen rats take on cats and win.
Wow.
They go after the cat, and the cat has to run across the road to get away to safety. They are evolving. They're becoming smarter and more resistant.
And bigger.
Right? So they become resistant to the poison also. And part of the way it works is that rats are very communicative. So if a rat eats poison, and like, oh, something is wrong with this, he would emit a high-pitched sound that the other rats can hear. So that's a warning. Well, you stay away. He vomits. And that's a sign for the rats to smell, stay away. And it passes urates, stay away. So he marks the area, he marks the boxes. So in the box now, after getting one rat, is almost now inefficient, ineffective, doesn't work anymore. But you got one rat, and then one bird goes after that rat. And now that bird, so this bird, if he were in a healthy stock of rats, not poison, probably would be able to take out 3,000 rats a year. No human can do that. Almost no human implement can do that with guarantee. And no costs and no byproducts. So nothing bad.
He could eat up to 7, 8 rats a day?
Easily.
Wow.
Especially, well, with his family. With his family. Now, so he's in UE, That means most likely you would have had a mate there and then the offspring. Once you have babies come around, you got to know, you got to feed them, you got to feed them, you got to feed them. So they're hunting around the clock. They're hunting rats, they're hunting pigeons, they're hunting little doves. They're feeding their babies round the clock, and they have to feed themselves to be able to feed the other ones.
So the babies could also have been suffering from rodenticide toxicity.
Correct. Correct. A lot of times you have situations where you see the skeletal structure of the babies in nests, and you know that something literally poisoned them there. Nothing took them away. They were right there in the nest and they died. They were poisoned. Or sometimes the parents, when they realize that they're really bad, they kick them out of the nest. So you'll see the baby on the ground and it would die. Wow. So it's a complicated, that's why it's an ecosystem. Everything kind of works together. And when you start putting poison into the system, you mess things up in a big, big way. Then now we have electronic traps. Electronic traps are amazing. They can take the voltage from 4 Digicel batteries, amp it up to 20,000 volts, and run that through the body of a rat. Death is, bap, you just hear bzzzt, and it's done. Clean.
You can get those in Trinidad?
We will be bringing in some. Yeah, you can get, well, I don't know if they're in Trinidad, but we brought in already, and we tried them. I tried it. On one set, 4 Digicel batteries, I killed 28 massive rats. And when I say massive rats, these rats were almost 2 pounds each.
Whoa.
Those are big. They would sit in the palm of my hand and have feet and tail and so on. It's a big, big rat. And we had to actually take them now, went and got large size Ziploc bags, get them in the Ziploc bags, and we froze them. Because we do not waste. Yeah, and that's a clean, lovely death, right? That's good meat. So we use that to feed our snakes, and especially when we get the wild snakes in with injuries and so on, it's really hard for them sometimes to adjust to the white rats. They just know the smell is different, it's something different, it's not food for them, normal food. But once you put one of those in there, we defrost those bad boys, warm it up, put it in there, they're feasting away. Even our birds of prey, feasting away. So there are other methods of killing rodents. But the best thing to do with rodents is to keep them away.
Keep your area clean.
Yeah. Plain talk, bad manners, we just too damn nasty. All over.
Right. You're absolutely
Too
right.
damn nasty. And keep such unkempt surroundings that it just brings in everything that we don't want, and then you complain. You know, like I said, I've gone to a lady's house. I mean, I feel sorry for her as an older lady, and you know, her husband passed and the children not around. But man, this was one of the scariest things I've ever done. Being in that yard, so many pieces of wood with nails and galvanized and tree branch, it was just a mess. Twice nails ran into my boot. And I'm so happy that I had on boots at that point in time there. It was a mess. And I said, Mom, you cannot keep the place like this and then cry about snakes. You are making homes for snakes. There's rat poop everywhere. There was just, I could not wait to get out of that yard and try and sanitize myself. Wow. It was the worst I have ever seen. And I've seen places here, Florida, New York. That was bad. That was bad. And I told her, I said, Ma'am, for your health, you know, try to get somebody to help you clean up this place, please, because something bad could happen to you. You come outside there, you step on a nail, it run up in your foot, you know, you're older, diabetic, all sorts of issues, leptospirosis. Your immune system when you're older is not the same as when you're in the peak of your life and so on there. Yeah. So many dangers. And then now you're running from snakes that you are harboring and you know, I don't have a problem with the snakes, okay? But when you have all this old galvanized and old stuff and everything that's piled up there like garbage and never went out. It just stayed there for years.
Ricardo, you find yourself also in a very difficult position in the sense that if this guy is finding his way, living in UE. More and more of these birds are, you know, we're living alongside them. It's not that they're living alongside us. It's that humans are living alongside them, you know, because their habitats are not what it used to be, not as wide and vast as it used to be. And at the same time, you've got growing rat populations. Rodenticide toxicity would be quite common because humans are trying to kill rats and everything. Nobody likes a rat, put it that way. So you find yourself in a very difficult position trying to balance it.
Yeah.
The key players in this, as always, are human beings.
Yeah. Our Mother Nature is forced to respond to our actions and sometimes our inactions. Okay, so your inactions by leaving things there instead of cleaning them up, here comes the rat. Or your actions now, you take action to get rid of the rats, I put poison out there. So you kill an owl, okay? So with all the poison you put out, you probably kill one rat every 2 weeks or so, you know, if you're lucky. But when you kill that one owl, that's eating, let's say it's eating a rat a day. That's just for the lowest base, a rat a day. That's at least 365 rats a year. You can't do that with poison.
No,
so your most effective, cost-efficient, and efficient method of rodent control, you're destroying. And for every one that we catch, imagine there is probably 100 more that we didn't catch. When I say we didn't meet the case to be able to save the animal.
Example, give us the white hawk in Walaba.
Yeah, weeks later, white hawk comes in, but we were able to get him up and back out there. We released him up. You remember Blanchisseuse Road? The video is just amazing, him popping out of that box and soaring through the forest, which is his natural habitat. But he probably was drawn down towards urban areas because of the rats and the pigeons. And, you know, they're just drawn into these stuff there.
And so UE's full of both rats and pigeons.
And it's what we do. We've created that. Pigeons weren't even here. Those two things, actually. Man, if you had to say, okay, man, you did nonsense. Yeah. Rats. How did rats, ratus, the Norwegian rat, come to the side? Aboard ships, right? We didn't do due diligence. We didn't think that we have a problem there. And this after the bubonic plague almost wiped out life in Europe, right? So we messed up. We almost killed ourselves, basically.
What ended the plague?
Right?
The Great Fire. Mankind.
Right? So the fleas, and you know, remember they thought it was, you know, once you cough, that's how it spread and stuff like that. It turned out that the fleas that were brought into the house on rats were biting people and spreading diseases. Okay? So you went through that, and you come into a new place now, you still bring your rats in them? Then
I didn't realize
pigeons.
that pigeons were brought here as well.
Of course. We had doves here, what we call doves here. The pigeon is also a dove, it's a rock dove. But that's from the Dover Cliffs, that's from Europe. And they use them for food, and they use them for communication services.
Yeah.
So you go into a new area, you take your pigeons with you, your carrier pigeons or your homer pigeons, and you discover something, I need more money or need more water. You put that on the pigeon and it goes home. Wife gets it, oh, he needs more money and water, as usual. Yeah, Billy, go take some water for your master out there. That's, you know. But those two things, the two big issues and problems we have, were brought here. So now we have to deal with it. And to deal with it now, our local wildlife that is sort of adapted and trying to help, you're killing them out too. That's why it's difficult, what we do. And again, I always remind people, I am not a conservationist. I'm an environmentalist. Because you belong in this environment also as a human, but we have to find ways to make it better for you, for the animals, and for the planet as a whole. And that, my friend, is the real hard work.
Forgive me for asking the hard questions, it's just in my nature. If you're not a conservationist, why is it the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation?
By conserving wildlife, that is how we activate. Okay? When we say we're not a conservationist, we use all the tools available, and conservation is one of the tools. But in the broad picture, I am not going to say, Keaton, you have snakes by you, but I really like them snakes and them snakes important, so you better find someplace else to live. Or if I have to tell you find someplace else to live, probably I have to find a home for you. It's not just this side. It's not just, I want to conserve everything and that's it. I'm standing on that. No.
It's finding that balance.
It's finding that balance, and that is the hard work. Because now you really have to deal with issues that most people don't want to deal with. And that's a problem in this world today. Everybody's standing on their side, and that's easy. Okay, I want to kill, that's easy. I want to save, that's easy. Where is the balance between we need to kill some things, we need to save some things. We need to make the place work a lot better, right? We can't play Mother Nature, but we can try to understand it and try to allow her to function in a more natural way that costs us less. And when I say cost, it's not just money costing her. When you have floods and all of that, and people's lives being lost, that's a cost also. People don't think about that in terms of, wait a minute, you're just conserving things. That's all of that. It's really hard work all around.
Ricardo, thank you so very much for another Wild Wednesday, my friend.
Thank
I
you
see
very much
as you're moving your hand, Yui's body is moving, but head is like just these little
yes. That's part of their gyroscopic ability.
It's
so
amazing,
they can
boy.
stand in a tree, the tree can be branches waving, and they're focused on their next meal. They're just amazing, amazing animals.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, and Yui, all the very best to you. Let's hope you don't find your way back to Yui.
Right.
But it's in his nature.
Well, maybe when he gets back to Yui, he'll get back in a different capacity as prey control or something like that. But because we're looking at ways of doing things better. And one of the best places to start is your tertiary institutions, where you go for a higher level of learning, education, and understanding.
Goodbye, my friend. We'll see you around. All the best. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to Ricardo Mead and to Yui, the Grey-Lined Hawk, joining us on EM Prime this morning. And that was the message on the part of Ricardo in terms of finding a balance. Rat poison is not your best option. Use the old-fashioned rat traps, and they're available everywhere. Oh, yeah. They're available everywhere. You know, so utilize that. But there's also that option coming out soon of what you refer to high voltage
electronic rat traps.
Electronic rat trap. So we'll bring you some more information as we get it. But that's it for Wild Wednesday, and that's it for AM Prime. Thanks so much for joining us. Wishing you a good day ahead, a safe one, a productive one. And I'm Keaton Shaw saying I'll see you again very soon, hopefully. Bye-bye.
WESN.
Between the Bank and the Gutter, a novel about street dwellers in Port of Spain. This is a book to make you both laugh and cry. Above all, it takes you to that special space that only street dwellers know. In this moving and riveting human interest story, Harry journeys from insanity to sanity while living on the streets of Port of Spain. Now available at Metropolitan Books, 12 Aripita Avenue, Woodbrook. Paper-based bookshop, 14 Alcazar Street, Woodbrook. WESN, 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. And the home store branches located